Welcome back to Third Man In. I'm Zack Phillips, and tonight I'm sure will be a very interesting stream as we're breaking down Game 11 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season here, losing to the Buffalo Sabres tonight 6-4. Now having dropped 4 games in a row, moving to 5-4-2 on the season. And let's be honest, in your first 11 games of the season, when you're expected to be a top 5 team in the entire National Hockey League, and you come out and you drop games to the Chicago Blackhawks, you drop games like this one here tonight to the Buffalo Sabres, in the fashion that you lose this game, 5-4-2 is just a disgustingly pathetic effort for this team to start this season. 5 wins through your first 11 games is not going to cut it. We're going to have a lot to break down here tonight, from the defense to the lack of response from certain players to lack of performance of certain players, and on top of that, the idiocy of the man who stands behind the bench and that they call the head coach of this team. Wondering how long he's going to last into this season. Very curious about that situation there. If he becomes the first coach in the NHL fired this year, that could be a topic for us to be discussing. But as we get into all of that, we'll break it all down. If people do want to call into the show, again, as always, you can message me, whether that's on Discord, and I can send you a link there. If you want to message me on Twitter, Instagram, whatever is the easiest way for you to contact me. If you do want to call into the show, I will send you a link and you can call in, give us your thoughts. I'm interested to hear what people are thinking here tonight. If it's panic time for Leafs fans across the entire nation right now, I want to know all of it. So send me messages there. And as well, last time we did the stream, we ended up sitting there at, I think we kind of finished around low 200s, maybe like 202 subscribers here on the channel. 322 subscribers. So that was 3 days ago, I guess, whatever you want to call it, on Thursday night, we did the stream. And now sitting here today, 322. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed over the last couple of days. And if you are here right now, you haven't hit the like button on the stream, please make sure to do so. It takes 2 seconds to do it. Hit like here. About half the people watching have hit like. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so. Continue to grow this channel. Continue to bring more people to the community. Bring more people over here. And I mean, let's get right to it. We'll get to some of the points that I have. Some of the things you guys are going to say are going to cross over with thoughts that I have anyways, so we can kind of mix and match those as we go along. But let's get into the thoughts that you guys have here in the chat, because, I mean, all in all, I'll give my opinions, answer some questions, whatever you guys have, fire them away. First and foremost, Jeff McKay. Boy, this team is taking a page out of the Blue Jays book, finding ways to steal defeat from the jaws of victory. I mean, yes, you're talking about the fact that you have teams around the league that you sit there and say, oh my God, they just find ways to win. You find ways to get it done. Take a look at the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This team is net negative in yards this season. It feels like they have no passing game. They have no run game. And yet they just find ways to just steal wins on a nightly basis. And then you look at this Leafs team and you're sitting here going, you've got a guy who has 3 hat tricks through the first 11 games. He leads the league in scoring. You've got all this talent of guys who finish in the top of the All-Star voting. They're sitting there rated as first-line All-Stars, or whatever you want to call them, at the end of the season. Right wingers, top team, whatever it is. And then no matter what happens, this team just finds ways to gift away wins. Even Joseph Woll coming into this game here tonight, 3-2 so far on the season for him. He's got a goals against average below 2, an incredible save percentage, and yet this Leafs team just finds ways to get him absolutely shelled, give him the worst situations coming against him, like just putting him in the worst spot. This Leafs team finds ways night in and night out to just continuously embarrass themselves and make people sit here and say, why should I have any faith? And I know that we take a lot of heat, especially as people who come away from this a little bit more negatively and have more negative responses to the losses and why they lose these games. But I genuinely don't know how you could sit here as a fan of this team and tell me that watching them right now makes you have any type of confidence that this is the team constructed as they are, playing the way that they are, that could win the Stanley Cup. Like, seriously, if I'm wrong, tell me. Call into the show here tonight. I'm happy to debate it with people. I want to know. But I don't see any redeeming qualities about this team that make me sit here and think this is a team that could win the Stanley Cup. Because, as Jeff said, they find ways to lose games. teams that win Stanley Cups, teams that have success in the playoffs, they don't find ways to lose games. That's an insane thing to do. Those are the teams that find ways to win games, find ways to claw back in, not the other way around. And that's what this Leafs team does. And that's what they've done here now for basically 7 years consistently. It's just not good enough. You can't have that on a consistent basis, especially when you have players of this caliber and you have the expectations that you do of this team. It's embarrassing. Arnav B here. Well, I'm seeing Mig trade, hashtag trade Marner, handshake line respect, hashtag fire Keefe. I'm sure we're going to get into the fire Keefe discussion, so I'll leave that off for now. But Arnav B, seriously, what more can you ask from the players? Hat-trick by 34 and 4-point night from 16, but defense and coaching suck. Well, I mean, there you go. That's one thing that you could ask more from for the players. It would be for the defense to be better because they weren't that great here tonight. And then, yeah, coaching's not good. I mean, look at how many times I marked down each time that it happened. Sabres turnover in Leaf zone. Riley gets puck, goes to Yarncroke. Yarncroke pass to Marner. Marner, great goal, walks in alone on the breakaway, scores. Who's the line that comes out next? Leafs have momentum. It's in the first period. You're at home. You have the last line change. You could put on anybody in the world. The entire building is rocking. Who the fuck do you think comes out on the ice for the Leafs next? Because it sure as hell wasn't the second line. And guess what? It wasn't the third line either. Out comes the fourth line. Brain dead decision. All right. Well, there you go. Whatever. That's one. He just did it once. Nope. Leafs tie it up on the power play. Marner pass through Nylander. Nylander back across to Matthews. Matthews, goal. Who comes out after? Power play goal. Tie game, 2-2, second period. Austin Matthews goal. Nylander, 11 consecutive games with points here. Building's rocking. They're on fire. Tie game. Who comes out? Not the first line. Not the second line. Not even the third line. Not even a combination of Bertuzzi, Domi, Nyes, guys who were sitting on the bench aren't out there for the first power play. Couldn't even find a way to do that. Fourth line. Get out on the ice. What happens immediately after? Jeff Skinner, down the side, top corner, goal. 3-2, Leafs are down. Brain dead decision. Brain dead decisions. This guy has found ways to do the stupidest fucking things possible every single goddamn game. There are things that you can just look at, common sense, that legitimately sit there and tell you, don't do this in this spot. Baseball analytics get a bad rap because people sit there and say, well, why'd you pull that guy in that spot? Why'd you do this in here? They have very advanced metrics that give you game plans ahead of time to do certain things and to not do certain things. I can almost guarantee, you can't say it with 100% certainty, but I can almost guarantee there are no analytics in the world that suggest that that fourth line should be going out after a Leafs goal, no matter what. I cannot see any way to support this. Cannot see any support behind that decision. It is just stupidity by Sheldon Keefe to do that. I don't even want to get into the comments made this morning after the game against Boston about how they didn't like all this stuff, because I've said it enough in the other videos. If you haven't watched those after tonight's stream, go take a minute to watch those and leave your thoughts in those videos. But there's just ignorance and stupid decision after stupid decision from the guy who's leading this team from behind the bench, and it is leading them down a dark path. On top of that, and on top of all the other things that you sit here and look out with this team, yeah, he's making some dumbass decisions, 100%. But you're not getting enough out of the players on the ice at any moment in time right now. Mitch Marner has not been good enough. Let's be honest. Let's call it for what it is. Because he's got a bunch of points, and I know I'm going to get the Marner lovers coming after me for this take, and I get it. Because, yes, he has some very redeemable qualities, and we've seen him in the past have incredible stretches during seasons, and I know that he's got that in him. I have no problem with that. I understand that it's there. I understand it's part of his game. It's not there right now. And For me, the biggest problem with him is the plays that lead to catastrophic things the other way. And a lot of times so far this season, they haven't directly resulted in goals against. But tonight was kind of one of those tipping points where we sat there right in front of our eyes and said, why would you do that? What made you think to do that? And look what it did. And that was, he's the last man back on the power play, exiting the zone. He goes to try to make some move around instead of just making a pass up the wall to a guy who's in a safe position. Tage Thompson strips the puck off of him, in on a breakaway, and scores. Short-handed against this Leafs team. Stupid decision. Mitch does these soft twinkle toes type plays throughout the course of the year that have high risk, high reward. We can sit here and at the end of the day, watch some of those plays where he could have maybe done a spinorama around Tage Thompson, gone by him, and they go down the other way. And tomorrow morning, we wake up and look at that on the TSN highlight reel and say, wow, what a play. But the other side of it is what happened here tonight. And it's the play where he makes a soft play, soft move around the guy, and he steals it off of him, goes the other way, and scores on a breakaway. Shorthanded in your building. You're watching your team having given up all these prime opportunities where you are just handing it over to Buffalo here. Your coach is making stupid decisions that you are almost having to play against your coach because of the decisions he's making that are just kicking you in the nuts. And yet somehow you're just going to continue to contribute to all this. These are mind-boggling things to me. Not good enough from him. I'm not going to sit here and say that Nylander had the greatest game tonight. I don't think he did. I think he was relatively quiet. But I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm not even going to touch him here tonight because I think that guy has been probably the most consistent player on this team. He was not the best player for the Leafs here tonight. That to me goes to Matthews for sure. He's the best player for the Leafs here. 3 goals. To me, I felt like Matthews was all over it. He was pretty locked in. I got no problem with him. I'm just going to leave Nylander alone because he's still now had 11 consecutive games with points. Pay that fucking man his money right now because his valuation goes up more and more and more and more. The more points that he puts up, the better he plays, the more tools he adds to his bag. And on top of that, it's almost like he continues to go up in valuation the worse that Marner plays because his agent's going to look over there and be like, you wouldn't even pay us $10 million before this season. We're on the 11-game point streak. We've been the most consistent player. The media loves us. The fans love us. And that fucking knucklehead over there, 16, is being paid $10.93. You're going to give him an extension after this? You wouldn't even pay us 10? It's like it's just going opposite directions here, giving more fuel to his camp. You just got to pay that guy now. There's just no way around this. Pay the guy now. It's getting concerning here. Again, if you are watching the stream right now, I see 64. This is the most viewers that we've had here on the Third Man In channel. So shout out to all of you guys watching right now. I do appreciate it. If you are watching, you do enjoy the show, please make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe here to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Turn on notifications so you get notified every single time that we go live. And I'm going to say this. The channel is not monetized. There's no money being made here. I know people in the past have given donations. I really appreciate that. I will never, ever ask for those. Those are always just appreciated very much by myself. I will ask of you this. In the link, in the chat pinned at the top, there is a link to a Movember campaign. I'm growing this just disgusting mustache this year. I finally decided that I would make use of the whatever facial hair that I have on my face, and I would do a Movember campaign. So if you are someone who donates, that is something you would like to do, there is a link to the Movember campaign in the description of this video as well as pinned to the top of the chat. So again, I'm not going to ask for money. If this is not within your realm of possibility, don't worry about it. I completely understand. If you do have the ability, there is a link to donate to the Movember campaign pinned in the top of the chat. I do appreciate that, raising it as a team with a bunch of my buddies. So any and all donations are very much appreciated. So thank you guys there. let's continue on with the chat because you guys are absolutely firing. As fired up as I thought I was going to be here tonight, you guys are absolutely locked and loaded. So let's continue on with this. And again, do want to remind people, if you want to call in here tonight, you can message me on Twitter. I will try to send you a link. That way, you can also send me a message on Discord, Instagram, however the best way for you to reach out to me is. Find a way to do that, and I will take some calls here. I would be happy to do that here tonight. I think that would be very interesting for us to hear how people are feeling about tonight's game. But let's continue to read through the chat because that's at least another way to do this. Yeah. TMO, great game after being called out, a disgrace. Klingberg, great job tree living. Oh, just pissed off about tree living, some of the signings. Look, I'm going to be honest here. I'm not really ready to jump on tree living and pile blame on him. Interested to see how this goes moving forward, but I am not really in the position right now to just pile on any type of blame of tree living. The more I watch it, the more I watch that these signings aren't working, the more I have doubts in the head coach of this team right now and the construction of the core group of this team. This is why. Tyler Bertuzzi had a good amount of success in Detroit. To the point where the Boston Bruins were heavily interested in him at the deadline and went out and pursued him and brought him over to the Bruins for their playoff run last year. The Bruins did not have success. They lost to the Panthers in the first round. It happens. It's pretty embarrassing, pathetic, whatever you want to call it. They lost. Tyler Bertuzzi absolutely lit it up in the playoffs. That is a good player who has a ton of edge to his game, who is very, very capable of playing in a top 6 role alongside other good players. He did it throughout his career. And now somehow he magically comes to Toronto and just fucking forgets how to play hockey? I say no. I don't think this is a Tyler Bertuzzi issue. It's probably somewhat on him and somewhat to blame on him for not maybe being able to adapt quite as much. But the honest truth is, you have to take a hard look at what is already here and maybe have to wonder if it's the pieces that are here that are problematic for these new guys to come into. Because Bertuzzi is a chippy, hard-nosed, edgy player. He's a guy that plays on the line. He's a skilled player who can get up and down the ice, not maybe in a pretty fast, smooth way, but he knows where to go and find space. He can contribute offensively. He can create plays. In Toronto, it's like that's magically taken away from his game. Maybe, just maybe, these guys are being asked to do the wrong things. Has anybody ever thought of the fact that maybe the coaching staff here in Toronto or the head coach or whatever it is, the organization themselves is just asking these guys to be something that they're not? It kind of feels like Tyler Bertuzzi came to the Leafs and they said, stop being Tyler Bertuzzi. We're going to get you to be this other thing. That's not what he is. That's not who he is. And that's obviously going to hurt him and his ability to play or fit into a system or fit into a team in the long term. The other thing is Max Domi. I listened to Overdrive the other day. I listened to Dave Poulin go on there and talk about it. And I think he made an incredible point about Max Domi. And it kind of also made me raise my eyebrows about Sheldon Keefe yet again. Max Domi has really struggled here in Toronto so far. Turns the puck over a lot. Seems lost. Seems like he's kind of fighting for things. I think that he's pushing almost too hard to fit into the system and just not being comfortable. Not being a comfortable player here. I think that this is actually killing him. And Poulin was bringing up the fact that last year in Chicago, there was moments in time where guys would get into scrums in front. Domi would jump in. Domi would be able to jump up and down the rush, move the puck up and down the ice, get into the offensive zone, make plays, good at zone entries. He was very good at zone entries and playmaking when he was with Dallas, when he was traded there at the deadline last year. He excelled at that, actually. We all know Domi is not the greatest defensive zone player, but he was pretty good at maintaining puck possession and getting into the offensive zone and then making plays with it, especially on the rush. It's disappeared here in Toronto. It just constantly feels like he's being asked to do the wrong things. And it feels like it's the directive from the top. When on the top, I mean Sheldon Keefe down. That is just putting these guys in positions that just are not favorable to them. That's kind of where I'm at. Continue to read the chat here. Just some things being sent in. Spent game saying his brother calls Keefe DJ Smith's brother. Fair enough. TML saying Discord is too complicated. Yeah, it's not my primary source. Again, if you want to message on Twitter, you can message on Twitter. So fire a follow over there. But then you can send me a message. We'd be happy to take callers from people and have people message in, people, whatever you want to do. Let me know. Happy to hear people's thoughts on the game here tonight. Continuing to read, Colin McGillis. The Leafs don't have it right now. None of their new additions are chipping in. They have zero depth on offense, and their defense suck and are hurt right now. All right. I'm questioning some of the depth here as well right now. I thought that going into the season, maybe I just had a misjudged the way that this was going to be constructed. Maybe I just didn't anticipate for what Sheldon Keefe was going to do, but reality is, David Kampf cannot be your third line center. Unacceptable. That man is a fourth line shutdown center, defense only. That is his position. That's his role. Being up on the third line, not enough depth here. You're not going to get that scoring. I think that having Nyes and Domi together is an interesting concept, and I've kind of gone back and forth on this thought. I'm interested to see what the chat kind of thinks about it and where they're at, because I have bounced around a little bit. I have a feeling here that maybe they're leaving Nyes on the third line because they feel like he could prop up Domi a little bit and they could help each other out, maybe make Domi feel a little bit more comfortable. When Nyes slid down to the third line and got there with Domi on a regular basis, it felt like the two of them kind of started to find something. But I'll be honest with you, I think that on the third line, you're not getting enough of what you need out of Nyes. I really don't. I don't think you're getting enough out of him. I think that if you were to put him up in a position where he could be in the top 6, you are going to get the absolute best of Matthew Nyes because of minutes, because of matchups, because of responsibility, whatever it is. I think that's where he belongs. I think he's too good to be playing in this bottom 6. And I think, yes, Järnkrok had a great pass to Marner there to send him on the breakaway, send him in for the first goal of the night, but he's not a top 6 guy to me. Järnkrok was brought here to be a bottom 6 guy, and to force feed him into this top 6 because of whatever is going through Keefe's mind to make him think that this is the best way to do this, I just feel like is the wrong deployment of these players. Nyes should be bumped up to the top 6 for me. I just don't think you're getting enough out of him right now. But this also goes to the point, if Nyes goes up to your top line, what the hell do you got in your bottom 6? Because if you're going to look at a third line of Domi, Kampf, and Järnkrok, you got massive, massive, massive issues. Your fourth line of Gregor, Reeves, Holmberg, this is not good enough. I continue to sit here in a position of wondering what the hell is going on with Robertson. I said to trade him before last season. They didn't. Plays, he gets hurt. They don't move him at all. He doesn't make the team this year. Putting up a ton of points in the AHL. They obviously like him to keep him around, but they don't like him enough to bring him up and have him play with the big club. So something is going on there. I want to address this as well. 6 1/3 saying stop overreacting. Let's be honest. Like, take a look in the mirror and just, you got to ask yourself, what the hell are you cheering for this team for? Are you looking to just be happy for a few months of the year and just watch a couple of wins and a team that puts together points and has some star players and that's it? Or are you looking for a team that's going to be able to win the Stanley Cup? Because if it's the second one, and you're going to sit here and not react to what we've seen through the first 11 games, then you are out to lunch on what's going on right now. That's the truth. Because people can continue to sit here and say 11 games, it's not that long, blah, blah, blah. It's not 11 games though, guys. Wake up and realize that this is the same way that this team has played for 7 years now. 7 years. The point is that they have been insanely stagnant in their way of thinking the entire time that they've had this core here. This is, if you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, this team is not good enough. And the reality is that you're going to get through this period of time where you play well during the regular season, you make the playoffs every year, you get nothing out of it, and then we're just going to go back into the cycle of shit teams going for the bottom, trying to get the next first overall pick. That will be the natural cycle. The way that this team is constructed right now will never win the Stanley Cup. You can either accept that and watch the games and be happy with the games and the wins and stuff, as I am as well when they win. It's nice to see. But you could also be real and actually notice that there are issues with the general construction of the team that comes from more than just the way that they're put together and the players on paper. So there's a lot more to this than just, being happy that this Leafs team is really good. They're really good. Yes, they are. But they'll never win shit the way that they're constructed right now. And I think that's the frustration with people, is watching a team that has such high expectations that everyone knows won't win anything. That's the problem. It's just participation trophies, as Meg's saying there. So that's why I sit here and have these frustrations with this team and the construction of the team and the way that they play on a nightly basis. We could sit here and tell ourselves every single night that this team is good enough. They're not. They're not. 6 1/3 saying, hey, Zach, 31 teams don't win. 6 1/3. I get that. But the reality is that 4 or 5 are actually expected to win every year. And over the last few seasons, probably like 4 out of the 6 expected teams have won. 4 out of the 7 over the last 7 years, 10 years, if you want to go back to those. Tampa, they won consistently. Colorado, they got their cup. Vegas, they got their cup. Washington had got their cup during that time. Pittsburgh had got their cup. The teams that are expected to do it are actually competing at the end of the year. And the other thing here in all of this is that you can sit here and say that, but most of those teams are at least making it to conference finals. This team can't even get through 5 games in the second round. So we're just giving them a pass at this point. That's pretty pathetic. It's a pretty participation-ass trophy type of fan base way to look at things, truthfully. Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. Debo, Buffalo wanted it more on a back-to-back. They always wanted more than the Leafs. Every time that we see them go out there head to head, you see Buffalo winning more battles, winning more down low battles, net front battles, corner battles, whatever it is. You see them out hustle them, out hit them, out shoot them. You see this Sabres team constantly rise up to the occasion and take it to the Leafs. The Leafs act as though they're going to get a win against another team just by putting on the jersey because they're ahead of them in the standings. That's not how the way you can do this. For the most part, we sit here on this channel and come onto the show after. If you gave it everything and just happened to come away with a loss and say, all right, it happens. Lost this one tonight. Great battle. Push forward. The problem is, and the reason that we're here at this point in time having these frustrated conversations about this team is because it became abundantly clear after the game against the Boston Bruins the other night that this team does not have it. There was kind of one final piece that you were hoping for and expecting out of this team to think, hey, maybe this is the one thing that can outweigh all of the other stuff. This is the one piece that can outweigh some of the deficiencies that you have on defense, or that little bit of lack of depth that you may have, the struggling third line to score, the struggling fourth line to score. If you have a set of balls and you have some character on this team, you have some snot, as Tree Living called it ahead of the season, then you might be able to overcome a lot. Like Florida making a run last season, you might be able to get into a position where you come together as a team to overcome a lot of the obstacles put in front of you and to actually be able to figure those things out. And if you continue to play as a unit, then you actually put yourselves in positions to have success. There was an image that went up on the broadcast tonight that also just made it abundantly clear how pathetic so much of this stuff is going on with this organization. Elliot Friedman was talking about on the broadcast the fact that this Leafs team had to have a meeting. I'll pull up the image actually clearly so that we can discuss exactly what it said. Maple Leafs demand, in quotes, we stand up for each other. If you have to have a meeting to demand that you stand up for your teammates, that's pretty pathetic. You're in the National Hockey League. It should be assumed that you're just going to stand up for your teammates. You shouldn't have to ask for this. You shouldn't have to ask each other to stick up for your teammates. And also, by the way, the leaders of this team, Tavares, Matthews, Nylander, Marner, Riley, Brody probably has been here for a while. These are guys who should be in positions to just go out there and do it and not tell people to do things or ask people to do things. You go out there and you fucking lead by example. You're the guys wearing the C's, the A's on this team. You're the ones who go in the locker room and are supposed to be the leaders that everyone else looks up to. Yeah, Matthews goes out there and scores a hat trick tonight, and I get that for him, that's a way for him to have some type of response, some type of pushback. But at some point in time, you can also go out there and throw a cross check on a guy. Hit a guy back. Stick up for your teammate. For the people who are going to disagree with that and say, oh, the power play is the best thing that you could take. Bullshit. Look at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Last year in the playoffs, nonetheless, the one time where I would actually kind of agree with people and say, probably don't put yourself in a bad position. The playoffs. Morgan Riley goes into the boards with Braden Point awkwardly. Every person in the world knew that that was an accidental play. I talked about this in the video I did earlier today, but every person in the world knew that that was an accidental play. It didn't matter to Tampa. The second Braden Point was hitting those boards, there was 4 Tampa Bay players coming in with their gloves off, ready to ragdoll, cross-check, punch, spear. It didn't matter. This team does not have that. Those are teams that play as teams. Those are teams that play as units. They're willing to stick up for each other, and it doesn't matter. Sidney Crosby fought in the preseason. If that's not an example enough for you, then I don't know what is. I don't know what else to tell you. This team just does not have that. And it's one of those things where it has to be shown by the top guys. They need to be the ones to step up and do it first and foremost. And the guys here just won't. It needs to be much, much better. I'm asking for a lot more from these guys, to be honest. I need a whole lot more from these guys. That's why it's frustrating. I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer every time, but we got to be realistic about what we can expect out of this team because truthfully, right now, I'm sitting here still expecting you finish as one of the top teams in the Atlantic, you make the playoffs, and then that's it. That's the end of the line. Because right now, the way that they play, the way that they're constructed, you can't see much farther than that. The other thing is, like, even if they were a little bit deeper, I would probably sit here and say you probably need a little bit less of that snot because you got a bunch more scoring in the third line. You just don't right now. You don't have it out of those guys. So you need it elsewhere. Find it elsewhere. They just don't have it. Because these teams that go on to have success play as teams. This team does not play as a team. So, sorry. That's the reality of what this team is, where they are, how they play, and what we could expect out of them. 88 people here in the chat right now. Appreciate everyone who's watching, commenting, and giving their thoughts on tonight's game. Do appreciate that. Does make the stream a whole lot more lively, so thank you to everyone doing that. If you are here watching right now and this is your first time here on the channel, please make sure to hit that like button on the stream. It does help pump it out to more people. 93 people now in here, so we could crack 100 here tonight in terms of concurrent viewers for the first time ever on this channel. This is a brand new channel, so we're trying to build it back up. But again, thank you to everyone who's in here tonight. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, tell a friend about it, tell a friend to call in, tell a friend to message in, join the chat, whatever you got to do. Tell people about this stream here and this channel because we're going to put out more videos reacting to things, more videos, more live streams post-game, breaking down everything that goes on. But hit that like button. About less than half of you right now watching have hit that like button. And again, just a reminder, if you can or are willing to, there's a link pinned to the top of the chat there. If you guys hit that, it will take you to a page for Movember. That is myself. And some of my buddies are raising money as a team for Movember. So if you can and are willing, then I would appreciate that. But that's where, if you have any donations you would like to do, that's where to send them, into the Movember page. Please click that link. It does go to a good cause. So thank you to everyone who's watching right now. And again, make sure to send a message on Discord if you would like to call in. All right, let's keep reading the chat here. I'm interested of what you guys are saying because I feel like at this point where we're at, then we're kind of in a position where you guys are all firing off the same thing. I get that it feels down. It feels sad to talk about this and be in this position. I'm not trying to be negative, I'm trying to be real. And I get that people look at things with a more positive light, and sometimes when you get in positions, you're going to view things a little bit differently. I'm just trying to be realistic about where it's at. I'm not trying to come across as negative, but I just can't see this team winning anything with this construction. Arnav, Zach, you're going to get 1K viewers soon. Leafs are bad. Well, fair enough. Thank you. Appreciate that. 6 1/3. Zach, I'm happy you're building up your subscribers. Thank you. I'm happy to be building up the subscribers as well here. 333. So thank you to everyone watching right now. We're at still 90 concurrent viewers, 43 likes here on this stream. I do appreciate everyone who's liking and subscribing and stuff. It does mean a lot as we continue to try to build up this channel. Norden Lodgy, love your channel. Keep up the great work. Thank you. I saw earlier, I think there was a comment from Carrie V. Glad you found the channel. yeah, we had to move across, start a new channel. So if you guys are subscribed to the other channel, the old one, you can unsubscribe. I will not be there anymore. Unsubscribe from that channel. I'm done there. No more videos. I'm only on here on the Third Man In channel. This is my channel. This is where we'll be rocking from now on. So hit that like button, hit subscribe, move over here. You can unsubscribe from the other spot. I will not be there anymore. This is my home from now on, as well as edge work, which is my daily job. But yes, thank you to everyone. All right. I'm going to butcher this name. I do apologize. Shay. Hey, just joined. Curious how you saw Domi and Burt tonight. I think they had better games than as of late. All right. Okay. Couple things with this. I still don't think Domi was great. I still feel like Domi's just not playing like himself right now. I'm not going to really dive back into the whole Sheldon Keefe thing. I've given my thoughts in the last 2 videos that I did. If you guys want to get into it, I can get into it here tonight, but like I have given my thoughts on those. I feel like I'm burnt out almost at this point of Sheldon Keefe talk. I just feel like he's not really being allowed to play like himself. He's not playing with an edge. He's not playing with the feistiness. And I feel like once he starts doing that and stops worrying about trying to fit in, trying to be in this system, whatever it is that is kind of eating away at him or on the top of his mind that's just making him feel uncomfortable. Do I think he played better here tonight? Yeah, I do. I do think that he played... I think he played better, but... I don't think he's at where he needs to be. Now, for Bertuzzi, it's kind of a similar spot, but I feel like you just have to take a little bit with Bertuzzi, take a grain of salt with him, because it's like he's one of those players who's not really going to look pretty. He's going to have it with him where he's going to have some flashy plays every now and then, but he's a little bit more of the grit type of game. He's the guy who can come in, win corner battles, win down low battles, push guys around in front of the net, that kind of stuff. That's what you're going to get out of him, and that's when he's playing at his best. I think we saw a little bit more out of him here tonight, and I think that he's trending in the right direction after what was a rough game the other night against the Bruins. I also feel like there was a stretch for him that just wasn't that great, that kind of put him in a dip. You saw the point where they said he was injured and his minutes started reducing. Then he gets pushed back down. He gets his minutes taken away. He's on the third line. He's on the fourth line. Back to second, back to third. He's in weird spots. He's in weird roles. He's being asked to do different things. You get asked to also play differently across different lines. Bertuzzi's role on the second line is going to be drastically different than it is on the third, because on the second line, they're going to say, hey, be Tyler Bertuzzi. Be this guy who goes and retrieves pucks and gives it to Nylander, gives it to Tavares, and then go to the front of the net. And don't worry about that, anything else. Then on the third line, you're going to be asked to be a guy who can carry the puck more, who can transition up the ice, because you're going to look across at David Kampf. Well, Bertuzzi's going to be better at handling the puck than David Kampf can. He's going to be better at offensively possessing the puck in the offensive zone than David Kampf can. So he's going to be asked to do all of these different things within his game. Now, imagine bouncing back and forth from that within one game. Like, imagine having that be something where you're like, I am having to be 2 different players from shift to shift. That could be tough to adjust. And he was kind of dealing with some of that with the injuries. Then he starts coming back and they're trying to elevate him. And then he goes back to the second line and all of a sudden he's not playing his role, so that he's down to the fourth line. It's like, oh my God, this guy is all over the place right now, having to do a billion different things. I'm not really surprised that things weren't working that well for him. I think he played a little bit better here tonight. I think he was trending in the direction of being Bertuzzi, which obviously I'm happy to see, and we need that out of him. But it's not like these guys were great here tonight, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we just saw an incredible game out of them. I don't think we did. Mig, is Gordon Graham going to call in? I sent him a message. I asked if he wanted to call in. He did not respond yet. I also have not seen him here in the chat, so I'm going to assume at this point, no Gord's Corner. If Gord does want to call in, he's more than welcome to, as always. I'd be happy to hear Gord's thoughts, see if he's maybe as frustrated as everyone else is. But, yeah. Also, 91 concurrent right now, 52 likes. Thank you to everyone who's liked this, and we're up 338 subscribers. Let's see if we get to 350 by the end of the show. Maybe I'll just push on. We'll just go until we get to 350 at minimum. Blair Ogden just subbed. Thank you very much. Do appreciate that. But yes, there you go. 350. Let's push for 350 here tonight before we get off. Maybe we wake up tomorrow and we're at 400. Who knows? 500 by the end of this week. Spend Games asked me to play the intro anyways. I can't just play the intro, guys. That's for special. The Gord's Corner intros for special occasions and special occasions only, or if I'm really feeling it at the end of a stream. 342 subscribers. Thank you, everyone. Late saying the top 5 can't be traded unless they want to be. So over the next 2 years, they can let Nylander, Marner, and Tavares walk. I mean, technically correct. Yes. M&H Crush donated to Movember, but where is the super chat? Oh, I don't even have a super chat built in here yet because that's not something that I was able to do here on the channel, so I hadn't even thought about that yet. But M&H Crush, happy to see you. Thank you for the Movember donation, and as well,
having the time of his life.
Maybe I'll just click that at the end every time. Mario Kart saying, Zach, give us a salt. There you go. Getting a ton of the people in here from the old channel, so I do appreciate that. I'm glad to see everyone jumping in, joining over. Does mean a lot, so thank you guys. But, yeah, there you go. All right. Continue to read the chat here. The old-fashioned dad. Thoughts on Klingberg? He's an absolute mess. I'm glad I found your new channel. I went back to Leafs Digest and you weren't there and it wasn't the same. Happy you found the channel too. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming over here. Yeah, as for the old channel, I'm not going to speak to that right now. Just going to tell you guys, if you are enjoying this, hit subscribe here, unsubscribe over there. That's all I'm going to ask. I'll leave it at that. Thoughts on Klingberg? He's an absolute mess. He is a mess. Klingberg, all we could ever have expected for him was for him to be an offensive defenseman. Let's be real. Because throughout his entire career, he's pretty much been a poor defender. He's never been a good defender throughout his entire career. It was actually crazy that I saw a comment from him the other day where he was like, oh, I'm not as bad of a defender as everyone thinks that I am. I legitimately had zero expectations for him defensively before he got here. So, like, defensively, I'm not even surprised at this point that he is the way that he is or, like, plays the way that he does because this is just... This is who he is. Like, there's no... I'm not shocked at all about it. Now, as for his offensive play right now, it's not there at all. And he's making poor decisions with the puck. When I saw this guy, like, I was under the impression from his time with the Dallas Stars to the Anaheim Ducks to Minnesota that he was a guy who shot the puck a lot. And now maybe this is one of those things where it just goes back to the whole, like, yeah, he doesn't fit here in Toronto because maybe he's not Like, maybe he's being asked to do the wrong things. Maybe they're putting a leash on him. Maybe they're asking him to play the style of hockey that isn't really conducive to him being a strong offensive player here. Maybe that's why Morgan Rielly doesn't shoot the puck, is because Sheldon Keefe tells the defenseman, don't fucking shoot. I don't even know what it is, but it's like Klingberg comes here and I'm getting texts from my dad being like, this guy doesn't shoot. Like, yeah. He doesn't. And I'm shocked to see that, because I'm sitting there watching this guy, watching his highlights, reading reports of him in Dallas, Anaheim, Minnesota. He's a guy who shoots. He loves to shoot. He's trigger happy. And then just somehow he just can't shoot now. Like, it's just gone from his game. He doesn't have the ability to just shoot here in Toronto anymore. It makes no sense, but it's like it's a Toronto thing, it feels like. You come here, your game is suppressed, you're asked to play a different way. Hey, you're not the center of attention, kid. It's the 4 guys over there being paid the money that they're being paid. Those are the guys we care about. Those are the guys we're going to put the attention on. Like, it feels like that's what happens every single time. And it's mind-boggling to me, because it suppresses these players. It doesn't allow them to have any type of serious contribution to the team. And yeah, like Klingberg, he's been a mess. I'm not going to lie to you. He's been a mess. The old-fashioned dad, I'm glad you found the channel. I appreciate you guys coming over and following this. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. And thank you to everyone who donates over to the Movember campaign. I did send the link there again, so if you do want to donate, please send your donations over to the Movember campaign. I don't know if I'm seeing them, but yeah, thank you. Thank you to everyone donating. Do appreciate that a lot. Link was sent there again in the chat. So, all right. More questions here. Akuma's deception. Marner and Matthews are the only ones allowed to play like themselves. Keefe needs to just play them and let them make mistakes. Well, I mean, I would say that Nylander, Tavares also play like themselves. It feels maybe like Rielly's had a little bit of suppression put on him. I'm not entirely sure, but it's like in the playoffs he plays like himself, and then regular season he doesn't. Like, I don't know what it is, but there's this whole aura around playoff Rielly, and it definitely does feel like he elevates to a different level and has a different gear to his game when he gets there. Maybe that's just him playing like Morgan Rielly, and the rest of the year he doesn't because he's not allowed. I don't know what it is. Mig, serious question, Zach. How many consecutive losses until Keefe could be out the door? This is a good question. I see a lot of people saying they want Keefe gone. I'm looking at this. My dad sent this over to me, and I'm trying to exactly sort out the schedule right now as we go. So, the Canucks play here Saturday, November 11th. So that would be next Saturday. After the Canucks are here Saturday, the Leafs play 2 games in 12 days. Perfect time for a new coach to come in. That's what my dad said. So I'm looking at this schedule. They play Tampa on Monday, the Sens on Wednesday, the Flames on Friday, the Canucks on Saturday. So there are 4 games coming up here. They're currently on a 4-game skid. I'm not going to make predictions of these next few games or whatever. You have 4 games before that 2-game in 12-day stretch. If you go 2-2 over these next 4 games, I think you are looking at a spot that this is the end of Sheldon Keefe. 3-1, he's fine. 1-1, they probably say you're fine. 2 wins, regardless of OT regulation, and 2 losses regulation, I think that is see you later, Sheldon. And he will not.
Having the time of his life.
He will not be having the time of his life. Mile High 6. Glad you enjoyed that soundbite. Yes, that is a from the Denver Broncos. And I know Mile High 6 is a Broncos fan. So, yeah, I think that 2-2 over the next 4 games here leading up to that weekend. And then a 12-day stretch with only 2 games in there. Yeah, I think that's a spot that you put yourself into where you could say, hey, we could move on from the coach here. We could put ourselves into a position where you open things up. You have some time during the season to bring in a new guy, develop some new systems, have meetings, whatever it is. And that's kind of the way to go about things. Like, that's where it goes to. So I don't know. I could kind of see things going in that direction if you go 2-2 over the next little while. That's my prediction. That doesn't mean they're going to do it, but that's kind of what I'm almost even hoping for and what I could expect over the next little while. Because you guys are asking. So that's my thoughts on that. Continuing to read. Craig Harrison, Bertuzzi keeps getting handcuffed by the puck in high danger. High danger chances, muffs at every time. Yeah, I think these guys are kind of just gripping their sticks a little too tight. I think that there's nerves going on. I think that there's frustrations going on. Like in any sport, if you're golfing and you're putting, you're not seeing the ball go in the hole, you're struggling to putt on the greens or whatever, you're gonna get frustrated. You're maybe gonna grip it a little bit too tight, gonna get annoyed, and then does that help you putt? Like, for most people, no. You're not going to get in the right zone to be able to do things. You're not just going to be letting the play happen. You're going to be overthinking. You know what I mean? Like, the golf is probably the best example for me to kind of just relate to this to people, but it's like, hey, you hit one bad shot, you go up to hit the next one. Now the next thing that you're doing is overthinking. Why did I make the wrong play on why did I hit the last one wrong? Was it the swing? Did I come down and hit the ball in the wrong spot? Were my feet in the wrong place? Was it my hips coming through? What was it that made me do that wrong? So then when you go to hit the next one, you're going to overthink. Oh, I have to do this with my hips. I have to come down this way. I have to swing back this fast. I have to swing forward this fast. My hands have to be this way. And then that normally doesn't help most people. Helps some people, not most people. Now, you go into hockey and you go play one shift and you come to the bench and the coach says, you didn't play your role properly there. Okay, well, what did I do wrong on that shift? What was the role? Why was I in the wrong spot? Where was I in this point in time that he's saying I did the wrong thing and then I made the wrong play, whatever? Now you're thinking. And you're not playing hockey anymore. You're thinking hockey. And you're trying to do it at a rapid pace. And guys that are in the NHL, they're obviously thinking while they're playing. Like, that's why you're in this position. They think at a much faster rate than the average hockey player does. And it allows them to be much further advanced and ahead of other players and other people. And that's what puts them at the top and separates them. But that overthinking, when you're supposed to be someone who could just naturally think at that point, can really fuck you up and put you in a bad place where now it's like you can't even think about a pass coming in because you're thinking, pass is coming, is someone coming? Where's the next pass going to? Where's my winger? Where's my centerman? Where's the defenseman? Is there pressure? Am I on the right spot? Is there a breakout that I have to be doing? Like, all of these things are going into your head. Now, you haven't even received the pass. Now you could just fumble fuck the pass coming in. And that's a bad place to be in as a player because you can just twist yourself into an absolute knot trying to figure things out, trying to get yourself into the right place. That can be a bad, dark place to be in. I see a tweet here. This is going to infuriate people. I've got to bring it up. Mark Masters tweets out, Mitch Marner on Sabres shorthanded goal. Just a shit show, really. Just kind of no speed by me. Obviously, we have game plans coming in about what we want to do and trying to execute it, and sometimes it's just better to do the safer play. I don't know about you guys, That statement right there is a fucking indictment on this coaching staff and what is going on. This is an insane comment to hear this happen. Obviously, we have a game plan coming in about what we want to do, trying to execute it, and sometimes it's just better to do the safer play. This is effectively saying it's better to not do what they're asking us to do because it's a safer thing. It's kind of what it's coming across to me. I'll dig more into the quote tomorrow. Probably put out a video. So if you're watching right now and you haven't subscribed, please, again, hit that subscribe button. Hit like here on the stream. All that good stuff. Do appreciate all the support we've gotten here tonight. 101 current viewers right now here on the channel. First time we've ever broken 3 digits on this third man in channel. So thank you to everyone who's come across here. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate the support. 104 now. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Hit the like button, hit subscribe. But yeah, I'll do a video here tomorrow breaking that down because I got to get deeper into that comment because that sounds a hell of a lot like Mitch Marner was calling out this coaching staff and the game plans that they've implemented going into this season, going into these games. Arnett B. Bertuzzi is getting the chances. He looked a bit better tonight, but something is not clicking. Yeah, again, I mean, I touched on that there. Like, I think that you're just in a spot where he's just not getting, I think he's just not being allowed to play like himself. Blair Ogden. My personal opinion, Max Domi and Bert need to play with players who are going to help them. Bert is a grinder, and Domi needs to play with a good winger. Yeah, fair enough. That's kind of why I said I feel like we need to be in a... Like, I feel like that's kind of why they're putting him with Nyes, with Domi with Nyes. I think that Bertuzzi needs to be playing in that top 6. I don't think there's any way around it. He should be there. Let him ride. Let him figure things out. Stop jerking him around up and down this lineup. It will sort itself out. And realistically, like, I think you put yourself in a spot here with this team where if he does play up in the top, you're going to get the best out of him. You're going to get him in a spot where he can excel. And it's more just a matter of, like, I think you're right. He does excel with better players. So let him stay there. Domi, I'm not really sure. I feel like I'm just guessing, straight up just guessing. I think they're just putting him with Nyes because I feel like they just need him with somebody strong. And like Yarncroke and Kampf, that's not it. That's not going to help Domi at all. Our man, Zach, Domi don't have a center. Kampf can't win a face-off, kill penalty, and playmaking. Yeah, I mean, I'm not very positive about Kampf's ability to play. I feel like at some point here, you got to bump down Kampf and bring up somebody from the minors to play on a wing on that third line, or move Gregor up and then put somebody from the minors onto the fourth line. That's how I would kind of situate some of that to open up. But God, I'm tired of watching David Kampf struggle on the draws when he was so good at center when he got here, so good defensively. It just feels like he's being asked to do all the wrong things again. I don't know. It's hard to watch. Also, I know that they didn't go into overtime tonight. I don't ever want to see David Kampf taking the opening faceoff again. I don't ever want to see that. Like, please, do not punish us with that. You pay 26-year-old first-line center $13 million. Let the man take the draws. Let the man take draws. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Anyways, that's not really relative to tonight. more questions about if Gordon's going to call in. Again, no comments from Gord here tonight, so I'm assuming he's not around. It is his Sunday morning. He's probably off the hockey practice or something. XCC, Klingberg needs to get off the first power play unit. He's looking bad on the unit, and Mo is just better with the core four. I still think Klingberg's the better option, but maybe just not what they're asking him to do, right? Like, if that makes sense. Like, it feels like he's being limited in what he's allowed to do, when he's allowed to do it. Like, this just does not, to me, feel like we're watching John Klingberg, like the normal John Klingberg. It feels like something is off about his game. Something's wrong with what's going on. I don't know what it is, why that's happening. I could not tell you, but I still think he's the better option long term. I just don't think that, it's not really like I'm going to disagree with you of where he's at right now. Just can't wrap my head around his level of play at this point in time. That Canadian white trash guy says Marchand is the greatest ice hockey player of this century. Oof. No. Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Connor McDavid, like this century. That are we talking about? Wouldn't you this century? I guess like this century would be the 2000s. Is that how this works? I don't know. I don't really know how like that whole century thing works. Would that be like 2000 on? Is that what we're talking about? Or are we just talking about like the last 100 years? Because if we're talking about the last 100 years, like Gretzky, right? Wouldn't that work? Mile High 6, half the defense at the end of the month is going to be on the IR. I mean, at this rate, yeah. Look, I will say this. Lajoie and Lagesson, I think they were fine here tonight. I really liked Lagesson stepping up and making that hit on Gergensons. The pinch in the Buffalo zone. It came right after, actually, after the Peterka goal to make it 1-1, which, by the way, came from a Sabres power play, which, by the way, was from a Leafs too many men penalty. That's bullshit. Like, how are you at this point in time having these too many men penalties still? That is completely pathetic. To be sitting here having too many men penalties. That is a bench problem. That's a bench problem. All right. I see a question here, or maybe not a question, but Mr. Salem 70CA, good to see you again, Zach. I appreciate your point of view. Was wondering about the old channels. They're doing those bullshit trade videos. That's what they do. It's what they wanted me to do, and I will not do those. I don't want to do those. I do some of the trade stuff. I talked about Zadorov. I'm pulling from real articles. I'm pulling from Sportsnet. I'm pulling from these things and talking about things that I wanted to happen anyways. I'm not going to do that other stuff. Sorry, but I'm not. That's just not who I am, not what I do. I'm not on that channel anymore. Will no longer be on that channel. Everything will continue to be here on this Third Man In. All right. I do see questions here asking to break down some of the goals and the mistakes that were made that led to the goals. Arnab B asking. Oh wait, I'll answer this one first. Denver said a question there. Zach, do you think the bottom four will figure it out? Are you talking Denver? Before I can answer this, you have to clarify here for me what exactly you're talking about with the bottom four. Talking about the bottom four defense, because as of right now with the bottom four defense, you're looking at two guys who are not going to be here long term, like Legason and Lajoie. As good as they might play over the next little while, like they're not going to be long term plans. When McCabe comes back, one of them's pushed out. When Timmins comes back, one of them's pushed out. When Liljegren comes back, Timmins comes back. Sorry, one of them's pushed out. Like it's just gonna knock these guys out. So I'm not gonna sit here and look at these guys right now and make any real judgments on like whether they'll figure things out. Oh, Zach, do you think we will get scoring from the bottom line players? Do I think we get scoring from the bottom line players? I don't know. I think if Domi is able to start playing like himself, I think you'll see a lot more production out of him. I think alongside Nyes, you're going to give him a good opportunity to have some production. I feel strongly in the idea that Nyes should be bumped up to the top 6, though, so that might negatively impact Domi. I do think Kampf should be off that line, and then I think the third line will start producing if he can get off of there. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but like with Kampf there and that third line, I think Nyes and Domi are both going to have problems producing anything, because I think Kampf's kind of like a offensive zone energy sucker. And I know people are going to be mad at Kampf for it, but like I just think if you put Kampf on the fourth line, that line can just be straight shutdown. Gregor works hard. He's fast. He hits. He can score every now and then, but like be a checking energy line. Be a line that just like dumps the puck in, fucking mashes bodies down low, hits guys in the corner, and that's kind of it. And then on the other end, just don't get scored against. Like make it a net neutral. Make it a 0. Ryan Reeves going to play 7 to 8 minutes a night, that's fine. Just don't let him be on the ice for goals against. Like, don't get running around in your own zone. I don't think he's as bad of a player as other people think that he is. He's obviously not good in terms of like and underlying analytics, advanced metrics, that kind of stuff. He doesn't have that to his game, but yeah, I don't know. That's my thoughts on if those guys can score. Okay, let's break down some of the goals. First and foremost, I mean, the first goal that Buffalo scored, I don't really have to go kind of too far into this one or break this one down too much. I'll bring up the board here. I know people like the board, so we'll switch across for people to see. But, I mean, realistically, this is kind of how the first one breaks out. You have Brody in a spot here, which this is frustrating to me. So I will go with the Sabres here first. So you've got Power across on this side. You've got I'll just say it's right D over here. Then you have a forward. I wish I could just go forward on this. Why does it have to be a specific position? I'll go kind of like here. Actually, I'm going to move Power in a little bit. And then here, you've got player here in front. And then at this point in time, you also had, I believe it was a player over here. So very quickly with the defense, the Leafs, you had D1 happened to be here. D2 happens to be kind of over here. And then the way that their forwards were set up, you had a forward here and a forward basically over here. Because actually this guy was a little bit over here. So you're kind of like looking like this. Now, the way that you're looking at this team, The puck ends up being over here. This Leafs team, for whatever unknown reason, constantly feels the need to leave this guy inside in front of the net. This is mind-boggling to me. This is unbelievably confusing how this can happen. And I'm not talking about having this defenseman be inside, but at least being aware, or having this guy be more aware of where he is, to not necessarily just allow players inside your goal, inside in front of your goaltender like that. And let me explain why. I guess Power's a little bit more over here because Paterka is kind of like that. The puck transitions across to Power. As it does, you get shift up, shift across into the middle, the way that this Leafs team plays. Power just very quickly goes across to Paterka. What this does is makes F1 move across to here and start moving that way. And then this forward ends up kind of filling into the middle position there. Well, at the same time, while the puck is now over here, TJ Brodie decides he's going to step out at this player. Joseph Woll, your goaltender, is standing in net, having to look through 3 players to get the puck. Obviously, the one guy with the puck, but he's got to look through his own player in TJ Brodie in front of him, and then he's got to look through this guy standing directly in front. A double screen, one of which by his own player, which this shot ends up coming short side, right past the screens. They're going to sit here and wonder how this goes in. There it is. Like, I might be slightly wrong about where these guys were on the other side of the ice, like these guys positionally, but this is kind of the general idea of where they were at. And as the puck moves across, these forwards do go in this direction to move across and fill in. And the thing that was confusing to me is, like, everyone slides across. Brodie pushes out to put pressure on. As he does that, there's now this guy who's completely open in front. Like, he was so wide open in front of the net. I'm sitting there watching, go, who's going to fucking cover this guy? Because in this situation, like, yes, you ended up having him shoot the puck, but as Brodie skates out, the other thing that I was thinking even could happen here is a lot of teams, you might just have this guy bump slightly to here, and then all you've got to do is slide a pass down. And you're in a spot now where you've got 3 guys above here. Guess who's coming in? You're going to have this winger come in across. Obviously, you're going to have your other defenseman here moving in a little bit too. But if he's got puck here now, you've got a 2-on-1 down low on your goaltender. Yeah. That's that's frustrating. That's frustrating. So there's one. That's kind of how I saw at least the first one go in. That's how I saw that breakdown. And then I see you're wondering, you're kind of asking about, like, hey, how did that go in past Wall, Mario Kart? Double screen. It's a double screen that ends up being him low short side there. Like, that's tough. The Skinner one, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna do a whiteboard breakdown of that one. Skinner skates down the wall, rip shot, and I mean, every now and then it's just that also you got to give credit to the shot. That was a nasty shot by Jeff Skinner, and kudos to him. He beat Wall, and Wall's gonna want that one back, but he beat him. All right, 4 more subscribers. Get us to 350 before we get out of here. 4 more subscribers. If you don't know what to do, hit that like button, hit subscribe here on the channel, turn on notifications, Help support the show, help support the channel, help grow the community here. We'll continue to build that out. I won't break down the Skinner one. I'm trying to read my notes. What else I've got here of goals that I can help bring these down. Do you need me to break down the Marner power play? Like skating up the middle of the ice, last man back. He's got Matthews to his left side. Could pass it across over there. Tage Thompson knocks the puck off his stick. Gone the other way. Marner being too fancy. Brutal. Skinner, snipe. Third goal. Fourth goal. I mean, I can show you. I'm not going to show you every player that was on the ice here in the fourth goal, but this is kind of where we were at with this one. My thoughts, you essentially have Brody in here in the corner. You've got Matthews. I guess maybe this is a better way to do it. You've got Brody here. Matthews coming in to support along the wall. And then you had two Sabres players. One here, one here. What Brody ends up doing is moving himself a little bit over here, and a Sabres player pops like this. Brody loses this puck battle, and this high Sabres forward, if I'm remembering this correctly, gets the puck there and kind of just pokes it down into the corner. Now, this forward goes down. Whoops. This forward goes down and gets the puck. He's got the puck in the corner. As Brody comes to come across to get him, there just ends up being a breakdown. There's a forward wide open here in the slot. Then you get pass out to him. Shot. Rebound pops out. Klingberg is just standing with his fucking hands in his pockets at the side of the net. And then the rebound pops out. I'm trying to grab this puck right here. And Jordan Greenway is coming crashing in, buries the rebound. That is how that one broke down. You're just standing there. Brody loses the battle. Weak battle along the wall. Not impressed with the way Brody plays that one. Kind of gets the wrong side of the guy and then loses the battle. That just can't happen. You're an NHL defenseman. You need to be better there. You need to be more positionally aware, especially in your own zone. The Canadian white trash guy, Zach, you played the penalty kill wrong. That crease is the goalie zone only. Okay, my point is that Peterka was out high. Like, Peterka's out high. You don't need Brody being the guy to go out there and open everything up down low, because you're opening up the 2-on-1 at the bottom of the net. You're opening up that opportunity. You also, by having Brody go out there, provide a double screen. And saying that's the goalie zone only, okay, I get it, but he's now fighting through double screen to have to see this puck when you could also just have a guy clearing net front and having him go one-on-one with the shooter from far away. The forwards should be out there in position to get across and take that away, because he was out far is what my point is on this. He wasn't down at the half wall or something like that where Brody can easily pop out and they could play it like that, and then the defenseman on the other side can come across and backside support. That's kind of where I was looking at with that. All right, I'm seeing a lot of comments that Keefe is not doing the post-game press conference. They were told that he's busy. And Brad is doing the post-game press, the one-on-one? Huh. All right. But yeah, I break down the Brody breakdown there. Then Stella C saying Keefe did post-game video. All right, I'm going to have to look this up. I got to find it after. Then Matthews tip, 4-4, hat trick, 3 hat tricks, 11 games. Then the flutter point from the shot hits Tuck's elbow, goes in. I kind of just think that's unlucky. It is what it is. It happens. It did come from some defensive zone breakdowns. And then the final goal is Klingberg fires one into the shin pads when you have a man up at the end and that net empty. Goes into Alex Tuck. Off to the races on a breakaway, and Tuck's one in the empty net. That's just unfortunate. A couple things to get to before we end the show, obviously, as always. First and foremost, let's go to the play of the game. All right, play of the game. Let's get to it. For me, this one is very easy. It is the power play goal that leads to Nylander getting 11 consecutive games with points, or 11 consecutive game point streak here. And for people who know me or who have watched the channel for a long time, you know one of my main frustrations has been with the team, and it's been the power play zone entries. And yeah, like this is, I'll break this down here and show you, but this is why this is going to be play of the game. The one thing that this Leafs team has now done that I commend them a ton for is that on the zone entries, they no longer do like what they used to do before, where it was the basically double back and you had a defenseman like here who had dropped there, and then you had forward along the wall, forward along the wall, and then you'd go puck, back, and then this guy would skate up here, this guy would skate here, and then you had this guy trying to go one all the way through on his own. You got rid of that. This has been now eliminated from the way that the team enters the zone. You do still kind of have forward for sure. You have a defenseman who skates up with the puck, and then he ends up dropping this puck back to one side or the other, where you have a forward here, and then you have a forward here as well. And then now this is where this is different. This defenseman now goes and enters and parks himself. Actually, I guess I'll do this. This defenseman now goes and parks himself in a spot along the blue line so that he is now here. And then these two guys skate up the ice with the puck up here. And then at some point, the guy with the puck crosses it over. What this does is it just makes you have to guard both guys at the same time, because you have to watch. If the defense overcommits to this side, the puck goes across to the other side. If they overcommit to this side and try to play that guy, then this guy is just going to skate in with the puck and have free zone entry. These are some of the things that I look at with this team and think, hey, this is a much better zone entry, because it just allows you to get into a spot where you can just get yourself in a little bit more comfortably. And it also doesn't put you in that weird one guy back spot. Now, Marner did fuck himself over and put himself into that spot now. But yeah, like yeah. Also, I see that Canadian white guy saying, Zach, ask your dad about my power play kill. I'm correct. I also kind of just don't know what you're saying. Like, you're saying to just leave the guy alone in front of the net and just let him stand in front of the screen. Like, I'm not really saying you have to, like, battle along with the guy. I'm saying TJ Brody stacked right in front of him and went double screen on that. So, anyways, on this power play zone entry, what ends up happening is this here. This puck ends up going back to Marner. Marner, skating up the ice, makes an assessment and decides to skate through. As he enters the zone into here, Nylander comes in across the line. As he steps in, Marner goes pass across to him, and then the smart thing Marner does is continue on through. As he does that, it causes the Sabres defense to have to back up with him. Now, at the same time, you have Tavares, who comes in, entering the zone, and then Marner is now in through here. Nylander starts pushing himself over towards the net. Now everyone is starting to kind of crash in here. Defense moves in, And then Matthews, being the smart, savvy player that he is, as he enters the zone, he comes into the scoring position, nice and high, being available there, taking his time, but also coming in, passing the puck across, perfect pass, Matthews, shot on goal, bang. That's my play of the game because this is very well executed. This is much different tempo and pace that we've seen from this team in the past seasons, especially with the power play zone entry. It's a much more creative way to attack. It's a much more fluid way to attack, and it actually makes the opposing team's penalty kill have to move and think. It makes it just kind of be in a position where it's like you can't just stand still to guard the team coming into the zone. Eric, that's my guy, Eric, right there. Thank you, Eric. I do appreciate that. Also, both Gensel and Jack Eichel goals. Should have touted it. Did not. They both cash. Shout out. Anyways, yeah, that's my play of the game. It's nice to see the execution on that. Yeah, Scored did come over to this channel, by the way, Eric. He's just not in here tonight. He's coaching hockey, I believe, right now. So no Gord here tonight. That's where I'm at with that. We're going to kind of wrap up the stream here soon. So as always, I want to see everyone else. Grade school grades. That's it. If you're new here and you haven't figured it out, grade school grades. Send your grades of the game, and I will give out mine. I'll give out my reasoning, and then I'll give shout outs to everyone else. But let's get into the grades of the game.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
All right, before we get into the grades of the game, I see a comment here. Our man, Zach, Edmonton needs a trade. Let's swap players with Edmonton. Who the hell are you trading for with Edmonton? There is not a single fucking player on that Oilers team that I'm sitting here looking at, other than Evander Kane, that I would say, hey, that guy's making an impact here in Toronto. There's no defense that they have. There's nobody that I want there. There's no goaltenders. Like, there is nothing that I want out of that Oilers team that I think is going to make this team much better right now. So, other than McDavid and Draisaitl, which you're not getting, unless you're going to call up and say, hey, we'll give you Mitch plus for McDavid, then sure, done. I'm in on that. But otherwise, no. There's no trades that are happening with the Oilers, so I don't see that being the case. Grades of the game, fire yours in the chat. I'm looking forward to reading them all, but I'm gonna go with this. Let me look at something quickly. I mean, I'm gonna go with a C. I was gonna go C plus, but like, I mean, honestly, I could go C minus here. You gave up a shorthanded goal. You gave up power play goals. It's not like this Leafs team was dominant at 5-on-5 here tonight. You allowed 40 shots against. You only generated 29. You got called the hell out by your coach and by the entire hockey world the other day for having no balls. And you had an opportunity against the Kings to come back and continue off and build off of what would have been a good road trip, a 5-game road trip where you actually put up a bunch of points. You did pretty well in that trip. You come back against the Kings, stunk the joint out in that game. Absolutely didn't even show up against the Kings that night. Pathetic effort there. Then you go on to Boston. Yeah, you lost in overtime. You fought back. You put goals on the board, but you still lost. That Bruins team was depleted defensively. No McAvoy, no Forbert, no Grzelcyk. Like, they're missing a bunch of their players. They're just also not really the same team. I know that they're having a good year so far this year, but like, if you're going to be the Toronto fucking Maple Leafs, then stop making excuses and say, oh, they're a good team. Like, shut up about, oh, they're a good team. I get it. You lose to these good teams sometimes, but aren't you supposed to be the best team in the league? Like, Vegas just rolls through everyone because they say, we don't care, we're the best team. The Colorado Avalanche, they get up, they play the best teams, they fucking go out there and compete and win these games. Like, you're supposed to be the best team. Be the best team. Be the best team. That team's missing a bunch of players. Steamroll them. Who cares? Steamroll them. Like, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. So you lose that game to the Bruins, but it's not even about the effort or anything. I actually think they played decently well. I'm just annoyed about the excuses people are making. The thing that pisses every single person off is the response to the Marchand-Liljegren incident, and everyone in the world calls them out for being the softest fuckers to ever touch ice. And then you have an opportunity to respond here tonight and go absolutely balls to the wall, show people you're here to play. And I'm not even talking about physicality or fights or anything like that. I'm talking about actual pure effort and attitude brought into this game. You could have dominated the Sabres from the start, and you just didn't. You allow 40 shots on goal on your rookie goaltender. You allow him to face high danger chances and be put in bad spots, take stupid penalties, giving up shorthanded breakaway goals. Like, this is a pathetic effort at home here. This is a pathetic effort at home. Stupid decisions by the coach, putting fourth lines out after you've gone out and scored power play goals yourself, turned deficits into tie games or taken leads, and you're putting your fourth line out immediately, having goals scored against you just because you are making bozo decisions that you are stuck in with having to put this fourth line out to respond to shit. Makes no sense. No sense. Matthews gets a hat trick. I'm happy about that. Marner scores here. That's nice. I still think there's a lot to be desired from his game right now. I'm fine with Riley. I'm fine with Gio. Klingberg, we know, sucks defensively, and we are not getting enough out of him offensively. It's just not there. We're not getting really anything out of our bottom six. Domi's still struggling. I think Nye should be up in the top. I don't know. There's these issues that are just circulating and putting themselves out to the top that are just making things really tough to watch and making it pretty frustrating, kind of giving you that takeaway of like, I don't see why this team or how this team could win. That's frustrating for me. C-. I see a lot of different grades here in the chat. B, C, B-, Z, a D-, C, C, C-, F, straight F, F-, C-. Yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating to watch, and I really hope that they can figure things out. But if not, we might have just seen the last of Sheldon Keefe. So, interested to see how this plays out over the next couple of days. Very, very interested to see how this plays out over the next couple of days. That's for sure. I'm going to send this one more final time. If you can, if you want to, please donate to my Movember campaign there. I'm going to, again, pin it at the top. Pin it at the top of the chat. You can donate to the Movember if you do want to. It is in the link in the description as well if you're watching back the next day. I believe we gained about 30 subscribers here on this stream alone tonight. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to everyone who subscribed, who's followed, who's found this stream over the last couple of days. It does make things a lot more enjoyable to sit here and be able to talk to 100 people rather than like 10. I'm not appreciative for the 10 people that we've had. I do appreciate all those people who came out, but it makes the chats a whole lot more interesting, makes these shows be able to go on for a whole lot longer when you get 100 people in the chat and not 10. So thank you to everyone who continues to build up this channel. Please share it around. Let people know where we're at. If you know people who are asking or can't find it, please tell them where we are. I do appreciate all the support. Appreciate everyone who tuned in here tonight. That's going to do it for the post-game stream here tonight, breaking down Game 11 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season. They lose this one 6-4 to the Buffalo Sabres tonight, going 5-4-2 so far on the season. Now on a 4-game losing streak. I see Spend Games. Thanks, Best Leaf Channel. Thank you, Corey V. Catch you on the next stream. Yes, next game, I believe, Monday night against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's see what kind of balls this team has then. We'll find out. But make sure to be subscribing here to this channel for more videos, more content. Hit that like button before you leave. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in here tonight. And Leafs fans, enjoy your nights. And as always, keep your